Your board exams are close by, or you're preparing for your board exams and you wonder how to learn about chemical reactions, especially we're talking about organic chemical reactions. So you have basically 6 chapters dealing with organic chemistry. That's haloalkanes and haloarenes, alcohols, phenols, and ethers, aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acids, amines, biomolecules, and polymers. So out of all of these, the first 4, that is from haloalkanes and haloarenes to amines, you have various chemical reactions. So how does one prepare for all of this? To answer that question, I would like to start with what a chemical reaction actually is. So chemical reaction is the one where a reactant gets converted to a product. Pretty simple, right? So we are having a reactant and that's changing to product. And this is because of something called the reagent. So in the board exam or in your exams as such, there are 4 different types of, or I don't know how many different types, but these are the main kinds of questions that I've noticed. So the first one is where you've been given the reactant, you've been given the reagent, but you need to say what the product is. The answer is going to be the product itself. The second type is where you've been given the reactant and you've been given the product, but you need to figure out you need to answer what the reagent is. Okay, the third case is where you've been given the reactant, you are asked how to convert a particular reactant to the product. Now you'd be wondering what's exactly different between the second and the third one. So in the third one, let's say we have a reactant A and it has to get converted to our product B. Okay, so in this case, the third question's case, A might have to be converted to C using a reagent, and then it can get converted to B using another reagent. So there could be an intermediate step that's happening that leads to the conversion of A to B. The next one is when you've been given the reactant, product, and you've been given the reagent, or if needed in some cases, you might be given even the type of reaction happening, and you need to write the mechanism. So out of all of these, and also there could be another one where you could be given the reactant and the reagent, like the first case, but you could be given, you could be asked this one, and this reaction could continue with another reagent to give us another product. So this is also quite common. That's what I've noticed until now. So how do we prepare for such questions? Like I know it's hard because you have 4 chapters essentially filled with a lot of reactions, and you're in grade 12, and I don't blame you if you find it difficult. Honestly, I found it super difficult. So what I decided was, I found it difficult then, obviously. So I decided to have a video or a playlist dealing with such reaction. So first of all, the first thing I would do, or I would suggest for you to do, is make your own notes. This is very important. The moment you start making your own notes, you might find that it takes some time, and I agree, I'm not going to deny that it takes a lot of time to make your own notes, but the moment you make it, it starts making things all the more easy, because you would write it in a way that would make that it, basically all the things that you've written would make sense to you. So even in this channel, I have a couple of notes for various organic chemistry based chapters. Like I have one for aldehydes, ketones, I have one even for alcohols, phenols, and ethers. But maybe you could use that as a reference and make your own notes. Not only that, you can include things like mind maps. And also there's one more important thing that I used to do, is that for a chemical reaction, or let's say you have preparation reaction. So preparation of haloalkanes, that's the first set of reactions that you learn, right? So the first method of preparation is from alcohols, right? And this one has a couple of reactions under that, right? So what you can do is write down from alcohols, mention each of those reactions, okay? And the first column could be for the reactant itself, okay? Now, this is more, again, more essential when we talk about other methods of preparation. So you can put the other methods as well, and then write the name of the reagent, and then the product itself. And apart from this, I would also suggest, if you could, to add another column just for the important notes or important characteristics. For example, one of the reactions from alcohols leads to byproducts which are easily eliminated. And that's an important thing to remember. So you can just put the notes as well. The next one, so that's one very, very important thing. I know it might take some time, but it's worth it. It makes things much, much, much easier than they are right now. The second one is named reactions. Now, there are a couple of named reactions in your textbook, and it's important to remember them, not only with their names, because it could be, the question could be just that you could be given the name of the named reaction, obviously, and you could be asked to write the reaction itself, and that's a very straightforward question. Or you could have a reactant or a product coming in, and you just need to write the reagent. So if you remember the named reactions, again, that makes things relatively easy. Also, important to note here that I have a playlist on all the named reactions in your textbook. Not only that, there are notes attached to it. Good effort to the notes, but try and make it your own. And again, if you're in a time crunch, no one's going to judge you for using notes that are already there or that are already available. The third one is the mechanism. So why do I have to, specifically call this out? It's because when you have a mechanism and when you by heart it, or when you understand, or without understanding, if you try to say, okay, here there is this arrow that has to come and get attached here, and then something happens. No, automatically this particular mechanism becomes extremely difficult. Instead, try and understand the mechanism. The moment you understand that, like, certain basics that you need to remember, that the electrons are the ones which are responsible for all the mechanisms that take place. And electrons are actually quite predictable when it comes to organic mechanisms, and it makes it all the more easy to understand. And so remember to understand the mechanism before trying to, by heart it or memorize it. The next one, the fourth one, is check the NCERT textbook. Now, when I was in grade 12, I wish someone reminded me that I was supposed to do this too. But what happened was I was overwhelmed with the number of chapters and like the amount of syllabus that I had to cover, that I focused more on various other textbooks which exist, and like they gave a more detailed or they gave a lot of detailed information. And yes, that helps. But in the end of the day, do check out your NCERT textbooks, especially for your board exams, and pay special attention to things like the example problems, the in-text questions, and the textbook exercises. So I've started or trying, or I'm working on the series where I'm solving various organic reaction mechanism based questions or organic reaction based questions in various years of your CBSE board papers. And what I noticed was that there are some questions which are just directly from your textbook. Like they've given the exact same question is in your textbook as it is in the exam paper. So, I mean, it's worth looking at and trying to solve them, and that gives you a lot of exposure to such questions. The next one is this. Again, I wanted it to be a separate one, that is the tables. There are various tables in your textbook, like specifically, if I would have, I'd like to, talk about this example where in the chapter haloalkenes and haloarenes, you have a table of nucleophiles. And nucleophilic substitution reaction, where you have the nucleophile, you have the reagent, and you have the product being formed. So this table actually gives you a lot of ideas to convert a reactant to a product. It might seem like a lot, but do pay special attention to such tables, and like don't ignore their existence altogether. For example, there's another one in, if I'm not wrong, in aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acids too. So do not ignore such tables. The next one, it might seem a little difficult, is practice. Now, when I say practice, I don't mean that, you should take out a chemical reaction, write it 5 times every day. That's impossible. Let's face it. You have so many reactions in your textbooks, and that's just a lot. Have a schedule. And what you can do is maybe, so there are 6 chapters. Okay, there are 4 chapters as such, like 4 main chapters. And I'm not talking about like, syllabus based on the last year, that is 2021, where they had 2 different terms, and this year they're having just 1 term. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm talking as of now, according to the CBSE syllabus, you have 4 chapters that have a lot of chemical reactions. So what you can do is every day. Okay, so let's take Monday. This is just an example. Thursday and Friday. So what you can do is you can alternate again. So first, on Monday alone, you could probably do preparation of haloalkanes and haloarenes, or just preparation of haloalkanes. And the next day you could do preparation of haloarenes. The next day, the day after that, you can do the chemical reactions, and you could just focus on the SN1 and SN2 for 1 day. And then you could talk about the other chemical reactions. And if I'm not wrong, you might need 2 days. And I'm not telling you have to just, write or memorize all of this, but you could just go through them and you could familiarize yourself with various reactions. That automatically makes it easier for your brain to relate or to recall all of these when you have to appear for your exams. And I think I'm done with that. So that's about it. Do check out the playlist that I'm working on about, where I solve various reaction-based questions that are given in the board exam. But do try to use these methods or techniques which I just discussed, and do let me know if there's something unique that you also try to do. So I used to have a chart where I used to write the chemical reactions on a chart paper, and I stuck it in places where, wherever I used to go, I used to have it like in one room. In each room there was one, and if I'd already entered that room, I'd make it a point to look at that chart. So that's how I tried, especially for me. I think for me it was aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acids that I found super difficult because of the number of reactions that are there. So I did that. So let me know any other, or let me know about any other type of, method that you guys use for learning such reactions, or where you learn such reactions, or your methods. All the best. But do check out the playlist. I'll put the link in the description below and on the banner too.